Okay, number seven, determine the intervals on which the function is increasing, decreasing, or constant. Notice that they all start out with the word increasing. So as I look at the graph, you can see it starts increasing right here at -1, and it goes all the way to infinity. As it's going up, it's also going to the left. A lot of these problems, it's almost like an eye test. I mean, I would zero in on what it starts with the increasing, find out where the function is increasing. You see increasing at -1, and nothing here, has -1 increasing but letter B. So once I've got this portion, squared away, I'm not worrying about anything else. That's my answer. I could, double check decreasing from negative infinity all the way to -1. Notice you've got parenthesis because at -1 it's in a point of transition. It's neither increasing or is it decreasing. Number eight, I'm looking at increasing, increasing, increasing. Once again, it's this function here is only increasing in this just one spot. So I would zero in on that since all these start out with the word increasing. It starts increasing at -3 and it stops increasing at 0. So this is the only one that has that correct first increasing the limits here from -3 to 0. So as I look at these, I'm not even focusing on A, B, and C. Once I see D is correct, I know the rest of it is going to be correct. And this part here, constant from 0 to 2. You can see here the line is a little darkened in. But the minute I saw that, I knew it was letter D. It could be anything else. Relative maximum, relative minimum. Well, this is a low point, so it's a minimum. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking at letter A, neither am I looking at letter C. I'm kind of zeroing in on, minimums, which would be letter B or D. Now, the minimum is a Y value. It happens at an X value. Well, here they tell me I've got a minimum at 3. Well, no, minimum is at Y value. It's at -2. All right. And it happens not at a Y, it happens at an X. So, I mean, B is just out of whack. A and C made no sense to begin with because this point is not a maximum. It's a minimum. And then we found all kind of errors with letter B. Letter D is correct. The minimum is a Y value at Y equal -2, and it happens at X equals 3. And the rest of it, increasing from 3 out to infinity and decreasing from negative infinity all the way to +3. Once this portion is correct, the rest of it is going to follow suit. Here you get a maximum and a minimum. So what I'm looking at, right at letter A, says relative maximum of 18. Well, that makes sense. This is a maximum point. The max value is 18, and it happens at x equals -2. So A is looking really good. Relative minimum happens when y is -14. At y -14, it happens at x equals 2. When x equals 2, the minimum point is 14. Now, as far as the increasing, decreasing, it's increasing from negative infinity all the way to -2, decreasing from -2 all the way down to all the way down to -14, and then increasing again from x equals 2 all the way out to infinity, decreasing from -2 to +2. All right, number 11, find f of -9. What you got to do here is to find out in which one of these ranges does -9 fit into. Well, -9 obviously is not greater than -1. -9 is less than or equal, actually, it's less than -1. So if it fits in this range here, it's telling me to use this specific function. If I had a value like x equals 5 or 4, I would be using this function here. But -9 falls, it's less than -1, so I'm using this particular function. 4 times a -9 is a -36. These guys here, I want to make this a little smaller so I can see all of it. First thing I'm seeing, if I rewrite this as -x plus 5, I know I've got a line that's going downhill. Now, this all happens when x values are less than 2, so I'm looking at this portion here. this portion, and this portion. Well, the y-intercept is positive 5. This guy is going to, looks like y equals negative 1. So B's out of the question. So A is in a running, C is in a running, and D is in a running. But the idea is why it's the letter C and not the others is that it's for this function is for x values less than or equal to 2. So I've got a solid circle here. And also letter D has the same thing. Now, the rest of this is, if I rewrite this as minus 3x plus 1, I know that this portion for values of x that are greater than 2, this portion is a line that slants down to the right. It's got a negative slope of negative 3. So my choices were C and D, but this guy is going uphill, which would imply the slope is positive. This is the guy here. You could take the time to do all of this in your calculator, but it's not going to give you open or closed circles. So you got to kind of know slope, whether the line slants uphill or downhill, or what's going on. The greatest integer function, you find it under the math. It's the int function. You would put a half and then use the greatest integer and put an x in there. And the only one that's going to look like what you see on your graph paper, on your calculator, would be letter C. All right, this A and B, it'll look just like this, even if you have to change your window to match this from x equals negative 7 to positive 7, y from positive down to negative, and that would be exactly what you're doing.